What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another Netflix recommendation video. My last two have done quite well, and I realized I never really got a chance to do one for November. I was really busy with school and everything, but I would like to formally say welcome to all of the new subscribers and new viewers of this. I thank you very much for watching. I'm glad you enjoy the content and everything. That being said, let's get into the list. The first movie I want to recommend is a movie that is a personal favorite of mine. Came out 2 years ago, should have won Best Picture, should have won literally every single award it was ever nominated for, and that is Richard Linklater's masterpiece, Boyhood. Boyhood stars Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette and is a literal following of a boy from early childhood all the way to when he leaves for college. But the one interesting thing about this film is how human it feels because we watch the same actor. They filmed this movie for 12 years so he could actually grow up on screen for us. They filmed every year for 12 years to create this masterpiece of a film. This is the most human film I've ever seen. I don't think there is a movie out there that has ever made me feel like I was watching an actual person grow up in their real life. Maybe it's because the kid was growing up to be the same age I was when I watched it, so a lot of it was very relatable for me, but I adore this film. If you like movies that are artistic but tell an extremely human and real story, watch this film. I recommend this movie to anyone and everyone. I understand for some people they'll watch it and think that it is not good. They'll just think it's boring because it's just this kid's life. But I think this movie is absolutely beautiful. I own it on Blu-ray. I watch it at least once a year because I really think that this movie is so well made and so amazing. The next movie is Quiz Show, directed by Robert Redford and starring Ralph Fiennes. This movie tells the story of a guy, not Ralph Fiennes, different actor, who has been winning on the same quiz show for an insane amount of weeks, and finally, he's not exactly a photogenic, he's not the champion you necessarily want if you're trying to sell your viewers on something. So the show asks him to purposefully lose to Ralph Fiennes' character because he's more photogenic. He's someone they can present and sell better. And they offer him, obviously, something in return. He does this, but then he decides that he wants to go back on that decision because he doesn't like what happened. This movie is very suspenseful, it's very interesting, and I really enjoy it because it's about intellectuals. It's about people that are so insanely smart that they are competing at such a high level of intelligence against each other to figure out what is going to happen next. Recommended if you like suspense, if you like realistic films that involve law, and I guess just intelligent characters overall. It's a fun movie with real characters that's very well made. The next film is the first documentary that will ever be on one of my lists, and that is The Act of Killing. This movie is not easy to watch, I will say that to start with. This movie follows two guys who were leaders of death squads in Indonesia, but when they did it, it wasn't illegal. They were doing it for the government. So now they go basically back through their past and talk about what they did, but it's just regular conversation to them. They're very cold and distant when it comes to these topics. They don't have the emotion that you would expect a normal person to have. So this filmmaker who made this documentary let them recreate these death squad events of them committing genocide, but in different Hollywoodized artistic ways. So they film it in the sense of like an old school action movie or a musical or something. It's a very beautiful film, but it's also a very dark and daunting film to watch. Like I said, this is not an easy watch, but it is extremely interesting, so well made, and a very interesting way to teach people about something that not a lot of people know about. The next movie is one from my childhood that I actually still think to this day is a good movie. That is Sky High. Sky High is basically a superhero film with no superheroes that anyone's ever heard of. They are a totally new universe of superheroes, and this kid is the son of the two most famous superheroes in the world. And he is supposed to go to Sky High, which is superhero high school. However, he has not actually grown into his powers yet. Your powers come sort of like puberty comes, but since you're a superhero, you obviously all of a sudden have super strength or acid spit or something. And this movie's very entertaining because you get to see regular high school strife with all these kids, but it's taking place with all of these people with superpowers who can manipulate fire or clone themselves and stuff like that. Very fun, very funny, and it's just a good movie for kids or really any age. I think it's really entertaining. Kurt Russell plays the dad in the film. He's really funny, and I just feel like this is a really good original script that Disney came up with that I really hope at some point we'll ever get a sequel. I feel like it's too late now, but back then it was a movie that I always wanted to see more of. The next movie is The Italian Job, the new version with Mark Wahlberg, and is the story of a group that are heist people. They're not bank robbers, but they commit heists. And they steal a bunch of gold in Italy, but they're betrayed by a member of their group, played by Edward Norton, and then they all decide that they're going to get back together and they're going to steal back what he took from them. It's a very fun, entertaining, high-impact movie. Car chases, shootouts, helicopters, all that good stuff. Very fun action movie. Mark Wahlberg's great, Jason Statham's great. Recommended to anyone that enjoys action movies. The next film is Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom, starring Bill Murray and really just a whole mess of famous people. I'm not going to go off naming them all. And it's the story of a kid who is a member of the Khaki Scouts, which is basically the Boy Scouts, and he is on this deserted island with them on a retreat. Edward Norton, ironically, plays the camp counselor or head of their troop in that movie, and he has a relationship with a girl that lives in a town nearby. So they decide to meet up in the woods and sort of run away together. This movie obviously has beautiful direction, amazing writing because it's Wes Anderson. It's really funny, really quirky, kind of weird, but also really heartfelt and entertaining. And I really just love the way he films, how symmetrical he makes everything in all of the different colors and lighting. I think he is very much so an auteur of our generation who I think hasn't really made a bad movie. He's made some that are maybe a little lackluster, but none that I would say are bad. This movie is a good one, and I recommend it if you've seen any other Wes Anderson film. Check this one out. If you haven't ever seen a Wes Anderson film, this was actually the first Wes Anderson movie I ever watched, and then of course since then I've gone back and seen all of them. But I recommend this to anyone who likes good filmmaking, funny, entertaining films. He doesn't make his movies overly dramatic or crazy like I think a lot of Oscar directors do, and I think that's daunting for people that don't think they can watch movies like that. This movie, much easier to digest, just a good time to watch. The next movie is Sweeney Todd, which garnered Johnny Depp an Oscar nomination, based on the Broadway musical about the demon barber of Fleet Street, who basically kind of just has a vendetta against people and kind of murders a bunch of people with his straight razor. It's a weird movie, but it's cool, and it's a musical. And I'm not a huge musical guy, but I think this one is done in a manner that keeps it entertaining because the story is so odd and so sort of engrossing. You immediately are so interested in everything because of how strange it all is. And I think that the musical aspect works with that very well because the songs are also weird throughout this film. Recommend this. If you like musicals, obviously check it out. But if you're a fan of Johnny Depp or Tim Burton or that type of filmmaking, definitely watch this movie because it has that feeling to it, and it's very enjoyable if you like those types of films. It's much darker than I think most musicals are, but I would recommend it in that sense because if you like darker films, this movie really hits the nail on the head in that sense. It's not like Les Mis drama, it's much more fun, I think, than Les Mis, even though it's fun in a really dark and messed up way. We got another Mark Wahlberg movie here for you guys. Four Brothers. This movie is about four brothers who are from Detroit and all come back and reconvene after their mom is murdered, and they want to avenge her and find out why she was killed and who did it. That's the whole premise of this film. It's Ludacris and Mark Wahlberg and Tyrese Gibson and another guy who plays the fourth brother who didn't really end up blowing up like everyone else in the movie did, and it's entertaining. Straight up. That's what I'm gonna say about this movie, because it doesn't really require much more than just eyes to watch it and enjoy. It's a straight up action revenge film. Takes place in Detroit, good fight scenes, good shootouts. Everything about this movie that is done in terms of the action is done really well, and it's entertaining. I like Mark Wahlberg. I think he kind of gets a bad rap for doing a lot of like preachy movies, but I think in terms of action people that are out there right now, he's a solid one. I'll go watch Mark Wahlberg on the big screen because I think he's a good blockbuster star. Pretty much, if you like Mark Wahlberg, if you like action movies, if you like people getting beat up and, you know, stuff like that, check out Four Brothers. That's really all you're gonna get. You get what you pay for with that movie. You get four brothers that go into Detroit to avenge their mom's death, and they beat a bunch of people up and shoot stuff. The next movie is more of a historical drama, but also an action movie, because it's entertaining and I like action. That's Defiance with Daniel Craig and Liev Schreiber. One thing I want to throw out there before I talk about this movie, Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth in X-Men Origins Wolverine is amazing. He's so good. He's so good in that role, and I understand people hate that movie, but on to Defiance. This movie tells the true story of two Jewish brothers during World War II who build a town basically in the middle of a Russian forest after they have escaped out of Germany. They are sort of a resistance force, but their main goal is just to keep non-combatants alive and only fight when they have to. The fact that it's a true story is absolutely insane because I could not imagine doing that. It has really, really good action sequences, World War II battle stuff, but the most important thing about this movie is it really humanizes what happened during World War II. I study history in college. I know that that's not something a lot of you guys know because you just watch my videos for movie stuff, but that's why I like movies that are historical. And I think this movie does something that a lot of movies have trouble doing, and that is taking a conflict that has happened and humanizing the people that it happened to. We do get movies like that sometimes. They knock it out of the park and they work perfectly. But there are also a lot of movies that I think lose that. And this is one that does it very well, and you get that action and that violence that happened during World War II, but you also get to learn about those people that were running and hiding from that violence because they had no right to be forced into that. And the 10th and final movie to recommend for you is Unforgiven, the Clint Eastwood Best Picture winning Western, and I have to say, this movie is gorgeous. The landscapes, the wide shots, all of the directing is done so well by Eastwood. I have to give him props. It is the story of an old retired gunslinger who is brought back into the fold to help an old friend, and also a young man who want to help some people. I really don't want to spoil anything about this movie in case you decide to watch it. Gene Hackman is in it and is amazing, so good. It's one of the best westerns that's ever been made, and it's also really one of the last westerns that was ever made. And I think that's why it's held at such high esteem as a western, because Clint Eastwood is one of the major stars of westerns in the past, and it's almost fitting that he's the one that makes the last classic final western film, and I really recommend it to everyone because of that. Well guys, those are my recommendations that are on Netflix for December. If you enjoyed the video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of my choices, any movies you think I missed that I should point out, and also check out my Hulu, my Amazon, every other recommendation video that I've ever done. Please check them out, and if you would like me to ever do a video on a different streaming service, let me know. The Amazon one didn't really do too well, so I don't think that one will happen anymore in the future, but Hulu did, so maybe I'll make another Hulu one. As always guys, I'm Eric. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like, subscribe, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.